Greetings folks, Flying Doctor here, hope you're doing okay. Now you may well be asking a question, where have I been? Well, we have had something of a coronation here over in the UK, and that's preoccupied something of my bank holiday weekend. I won't even get into what is a bank holiday weekend for those who aren't from the UK. Anyway, lovely to see you, hope you're doing okay. Now I do feel, I need to confess folks, because you could see here, I have a reputation for developing tutorials on the H145 by High Performance Group, and I feel like I've been a little bit unfaithful because for other sections of my weekend I have been playing around with Fenix's A320, which is an excellent aircraft. However, I still have some hints for folks using the H145. One quick hint there, a reminder about pop-out windows that I rediscovered when I was looking at this. But also, I thought it might be helpful for those who are making the transition over into jets, especially that have the MCDU unit. You know what that looks like. That's this thing just down here. Now, if you sat in a, recent jumbo jet, you'll be aware of this MCDU page. That's an acronym for the Multifunction Control and Display Unit, and it's probably best described as a bit of an ordeal really, because if you get this wrong it kind of mucks up all of your flight planning. So I thought it might be helpful just to give a little hint, a little mnemonic. Oh, that's right. We can do acronyms and we can do mnemonics as well. A little mnemonic to help you through to get this data in your MCDU in the right order, to give you kind of stress-free preparation. And a mnemonic, of course, is a phrase, sometimes witty, sometimes rude. Keep it to yourself if it's rude. That helps you understand the facts or a sequence of facts. So, for example, Richard of York gave battle in vain is a good British mnemonic. It explains the colours of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. See what we did there? I'm sure you knew that one. What about King Philip came over for good spaghetti? Have you heard that one before? That's the taxonomic classification system in biology. Oh, it's a long time ago. I had to remember that stuff. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. What about this one? My very educated mother just showed us 9 planets. Well, that one's, the order of the planets from the Sun, including the former planet Pluto, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. There you go. Mnemonics, ways of remembering things in the right order. And I thought I might help you remember things in the right order when you're programming the MCDU, because there's this order, and among pilots I gather, I've looked at a couple of excellent YouTube channels, and it's DIPSRIP or something. We're going to look into it anyway. Quite frankly, sometimes I think my time's wasted here. But if you're interested and you're really wanting to find your way around the MCDU, just general guide, this is for Fenix. Other MCDUs don't have quite as much feature, but if you're interested, then let's keep geeking into it. And if you just fancy joining us for the ride, then you're more than welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this endless wit, talent that I bring you. Welcome to the Flying Doctor channel. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the Fenix A320, or indeed the Microsoft 320 or the Fly-by-Sim 320, then there's plenty of other websites out there, and I don't intend to duplicate what's done here, unless people say, they appreciate me giving a really basic overview, and then you can move on to these tutorials. If that's happened, put it in the comments section, because these are very detailed tutorials here. I do think there's a gap for people who just want to jump in the sim and get started as soon as possible, but beyond that there's more than enough information here. So you can see here, you can see the Fenix A320 Black Box 711 site, the EasyJet Sim Pilot site here, and also 320 Sim Pilot. There are other channels out there with some excellent tutorials. Now, most of the really experienced folks offering tutorials on this, I must emphasise I'm not a pilot, I say, don't I? I've never flown anything in my life. I'm not a real medical doctor, but if you're interested in geeking out, you're in the right place. Most of the really experienced people tell us that pilots remember this acronym, DIFSRIP. DIFSRIP, DIFSRIP, and this determines the order in which you input the data into the MCDU. So the first D stands for data. We'll work through it later. The second one stands for initialization. The third one stands for flight plan. Then the secondary flight plan. Then radio navigation, checking that out. Then your initial fuel prediction. Then your performance. And then you're ready for your takeoff. Well, in the spirit of mutual learning and support, what about this one to remember that order in your head? Did I forget some raspberries in pie? That's what I've been working with. But there is a more sensible alternative we could look at. And what about this one to keep you amused and far more sensible? Demonstrate in-flight safety, review important procedures. Demonstrate in-flight safety, review important procedures. I have found whilst flying a complex aircraft that this has proved really helpful in getting my head around the MCDU. I'm going to take things further. I'm just going to demonstrate how I use this on the Fenix, but the Fenix has a number of shortcuts. Nonetheless, we should be able to just show you how quickly, give you a few hints, show you how quickly we can get you away from that start gate and up in the air. So apart from the obvious, which is to get your custom views sorted, without your custom views, it's going to take you ages to set anything up. There's mine. Beautiful aircraft. This one's. There's the MCDU, but I've got other views there, so I can find myself around the aircraft. That's an in-flight tablet that the Fenix produce. And front window. I seem rather keen on the front window, don't I? There, but just about every view under the sun. But yes, I'm going to zoom in on the MCDU, and we'll just straighten up here. There we are. Now, so let's just apply this. DIPSRIP. Let's just apply this. Okay. Sorry, not even convinced I'm pronouncing it right. It's late at night as I record here. But I did want to do something. Just it's been a while. So let's look first at the data. But before we do that, we go to the MCDU menu. Now, if you're on Fenix, click on ATSU and click on the AOC menu, and this will allow me to get a flight initialization right in there. Now, it just so happens that on my tablet on the Fenix, I've been able to import from Simbrief. So I click here, and that will populate the MCDU menu. Just takes a couple of seconds, and it'll be there. There you go. And you might be able to make that out. That's a flight from Luton to Edinburgh. So the first letter we've got to remember is D, demonstrate or data for data. If we click on data, this is all set for us, but you just need to make sure that your positioning, navigational data for positioning and connections is all there. So if I click on these, you can see that they're all live. IRS is live, and GPS is all live and fine. And we can see the database for the navigation is sorted there. And we can even see closest airports as well. Very interesting to just to reflect back on where that is, because it's easy to forget that. And so yes, the data index. Then the flight initialization. Again, I've got a shortcut here. Apologies, but you put in your route and where you're going from and to. And I'm just going to put a request in for that. Again, these pages will not populate in the same way depending on what aircraft variant you're using and the side software that's available. But here I'm able to click in my initialization, and then yes, I'm going to put a flight number in. I can put anything. I'm going to put flydoc in, and one of the things that I've started to do is to put in just the day of the week. So I'm going to be putting in 08. Okay, there we are. So that's my flight number. Wind, this is so easy, I have to say, on the Fenix, but wind, you want to put that in, that needs to go in. I'll put a wind request in there, that'll just come through. And yeah, so there we are. Back to the init page, and then I've got to put in my cost index and my cruise. Now I know this, if you if you are using Simbrief, I think most people are, cost index is the same as cruise profile as far as I can see. So that is a 10 for here, which seems abnormally low, but I'll check that later. So 10, and then I've got the cruise height, and so that I happen to know that's 30,000 feet, so that's 300 in here. It'll automatically put the temperature in. So there you go. So that's our init page done. Next step is our flight plan. I realise I'm planning this very fast for people. So click on flight plan, click on EGGW up at the top here, and I need to put my departure information in and any other information I have. So I click on departure. I look to my flight plan, and I can see that I'm departing from runway 25. So I click on that. Now for ease here, I've just very tightly popped in and in large text, so hopefully you can see it, my flight plan here off Simbrief. So here's where I'm getting the information from. This is really good. It's right in front of you. So there's my cruise, CI 10. There's my altitude there, 30,000. That's the kind of cruise height altitude that I can see there. If I scroll down here, there's more information, but crucially I get to a route plan, which is here. So that's telling me I'm going from EGGW 25. We've been there. And then I'm looking for this next star. Sorry, it's not a star. It's a standard departure, standard information departure, and it's OLNE2B. So it's a way out of the route out, a highway out of the airport. Now the curious thing here, just might save you some time, is that when you click up, you would think usually if you click down, and you'd be clicking down for ages, that you'll see the other options for SID, standards, instrument departures, kind of settings, but it's a bit counterintuitive. Click the other way and you'll see it. So I'm clicking down the list of available SIDs here. There's only two sides of them, but I'm clicking only 2B, so I click that there, and then I insert here. Okay, so there we go. But I'm not finished yet. I need to do what's happening at Edinburgh. So here we go. I click on Edinburgh, and my web page has just disappeared. I shall bring it back. There's my route section here, and I can see that there I'm going to go to runway 24, and I'm just going to drop back from that. So runway 24, and I'm looking for INPI1E. So I'm looking for INP1E, and I'm looking for runway 24. It will be ILS. So I'm just going to return here. I'm not sure how I got onto that. So EGPH, arrival, there you go, ILS 24, there you go, and then pushing the up arrow, see if I can find INP. There it is. You see, it's counterintuitive. Push the up arrow rather than down. You think you're scrolling down because you think it's like a computer screen, but it isn't. And then we insert that. There we go. There's our full flight plan. And we can just have a very quick look. Again, it's just a one line at a time. All this seems really confusing to me when I did it, but it's one line at a time that you are actually scrolling through. And just check you've got no discontinuities in there, which are gaps in the flight plan that will cause the flight director to disengage, which you do not want. So there we go. That's how we organise ourselves there. Let's just get right back to the beginning again. Come on, back you go, back you go, back you go. Oh no, we've gone the wrong way. Oh, after all of that, I've gone the wrong way. Let's go the other way. There we are. Is that right? Keep going. Oh, we are. We've forgotten our second one. We're all right there. Don't worry about that for the moment. The other way to get around if you're confused, just press flight plan. And while I do that, just press flight plan again. So we've done our flight plan. We need to do our second flight plan. If you're going to put one in, worth doing it. So click on second flight plan here, and I just copy active. If I wanted to put a second one on, I could, but just make sure that you know what you're doing. Acknowledge yourself what's happening with your flight plan. Radio navigation's next one to correct. With me, it's automatic. As you can see, I've automatically got the ILS frequencies come in there. All the frequencies that I need are in place. Now the next one, easy to miss, is the initial fuel prediction. So you go back to init, and then here's the thing, you need to go left here and it will take you to this page. Now, as I say, folks, I'm doing this on the Fenix. It'll be very different for your aircraft, but on the Fenix, I can import from Simbrief straight away, and then I can start working on my flight plan itself. So what this will do is it will allow me very quickly to populate the aircraft. There's my ground service. It's mass and balance that I'm going to. This does appear on the Simbrief sheet. You can find other tutorials out there that can show you where it is. But I'm going to load the aircraft instantly here. He says. There we go. Boarding's complete. Now it's giving me some ZFW and Mac ZFW. So I zoomed in a bit closer for you here. ZFW is the zero fuel weight, and Mac ZFW percentage is zero fuel weight center of gravity, I believe. I might be getting that wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in that. But those are the two figures that I need. So it's 58.1 and 31.4, always rounding down. So 58 point. Oh, didn't want to do that. Sorry, doesn't matter. 58. Would be helpful. Just move that. Sorry. There we go. Oh no, wrong way. There we go. 58.1. Oh, if I make a mistake up here, it's in there. Just clear it like this. 58.1 slash 31.4. Pop it into here. And then also it's asking me the amount of fuel that I've got in. I can do that two ways. I can go back to where I was before. I can read it off the payload that's on the screen. Here I'm looking at the upper screen just on the right here. FOB is 5740 kilograms. You put it in as 5.7. Okay, 5.7. Oh, has it appeared? No, it's not appeared. Let's just delete that. There we go. 5. There is the 5.7. And into block there. And it'll do the rest there. It'll do some calculations. Pretty sure. There we go. And the final thing, the P that we need to do, is our performance. We click on the performance tag here. And you'll see that there's some vacant spaces here for V1. Which is your maximum takeoff speed, VR, which is your rotation speed, and V2 should be up in the air by V2. I think that's right, isn't it? Well, let me just let me say some clarity. So V1 is the kind of no going back after this speed, if you see what I mean. VR is the rotation speed. V2, often VR and V2 very, very similar, is the takeoff safety speed. So if one engine goes, the takeoff can still continue. So it's a maximum speed at which the aircraft can climb in the event that an engine fails. Those figures need populating. And also we've got some settings on the right here for flaps as well, and flex to temp. Flex to temp is an interesting figure that you get on the Fenix to put in. It's the maximum temperature beyond which the engines won't be able to produce enough thrust for takeoff. And that is because as the temperature increases, the amount of air that you can get through the engine decreases because the air density decreases. And so therefore there's a figure for that, but it hardly ever comes into play. But worth putting in anyway, and required to by Fenix, I think. I'm not sure if it's modelled, but it's in there anyway. Now I'm just going to Fenix's nice little neat app to work out this. This is something that they provide that's absolutely brilliant. I just load the load sheet in there and sync the weather, press calculate, and these values will be populated. There you go, 130, 140, 140. Flaps as setting 1 down 0.3, and flex the temperature is 63. I'll probably have to come back to that to remember it. Here we are back again. So let's just remember this. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit to make it a little bit easier. Unfortunately, I've got my toolbar showing It's invisible, but it appears when my cursor's at the bottom of the screen. Silly me. Right, so it's 130, 130, 140. So type in 130 here at the bottom. Click on the top to populate. 140 again on the bottom. Click next one down for V-rotate. 140 for V2. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is to write the flaps, so it's the same format here. And yeah, we are going for one. It was one, wasn't it? Crikey, 1/down DN 0.3. And so we click to populate here, and then flex to temperature was 63. So pop in 63. 63 degrees Celsius would be, quite something, wouldn't it? But click to there. Now you can leave it like this if you're wanting to carry on, but what it'll do is if you click on next phase, it will walk you through the phases and it'll tell you what it's got set. So it's a managed phase for climbing, and then click on to the next phase. Beyond that, the next phase. The reason I work through these is because you're going to get to the approach phase, because we put an approach in, and this is just a little warning to make sure that you put in your air pressure here and your temperature here. Can't help myself, force of habit. I'll do that right now. So whether you get it off the METAR readout that's on the Simbrief sheet, you can do it that way, or you go to your tablet if you've got a tablet and you can find it. This is a really helpful app because I can actually, and I won't demonstrate this because it's not strictly to the MCDU, but I'm departing and my Q is 1015. Okay, but in my arrival it's 1010. Okay, so up in Scotland it's 1010. I'm just going to put that in at the moment, and remember the temperature, which is 14/12. 12 is the dew point, so 14/12. So 1010 and 14. Here I go. Zoom out a little bit. Yeah, 1010 in the bottom there, QNH at the top, 14. So it's quite muggy. Clicking there, and there we are. This final thing worth filling in here is your final decision point, and I happen to know it's around 50. Well, I'm not going to guess it, but you can fill this in as you approach, but you should be able to see the charts anyway. So I referred to my charts, so I'm not going to go through that right now, but on my charts for my approach, there it is. There's the glide path for the ILS I'm coming in on, and just down here, straight in landing, 300 feet decision altitude, 300 feet, and it's that 300 feet that you put in. By the way, I like to remember this figure here, 3000, because that when I descend to catch the glide path in approach mode, I need to be at 3000 feet. So once I've reached top of climb and then I'm ready for top of descent, I'll dial down the altitude in the autopilot to 3000 and let the flight director do its thing. But obviously beyond the scope of this tutorial. Number really I need to remember here is 300. So I put 300 in the barrow here, 300, and click on here. So there we are, and that's it. We are ready to go. Click back on flight plan, and we can see where we are right now. I'll give you a few more views of the pulpit. Sorry, not the pulpit. What am I talking about? There was a slip there. I'll give you other views of just the sim, so you can see what's happening. You don't need to worry about that. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, so you can see here, most importantly, if you just look to here, you can see that I've got this on. If I have it on flight plan, the format changes slightly, but you can see there's our flight plan laid out here. If I click on constraints, the limits appear for each of the stages that the aircraft is going to want to heat by, and I can just change the range. Oh, by the way, the added bonus, just something that I rediscovered here, don't often use it in the H145 but could well do. You press right alt and press your left button, you'll find that your instrument panel can come out, and then you can relocate that wherever you want, which is a gift if you've got a second monitor. Do note though, wherever you put that, you might find if you put it on the wrong monitor that it starts eating up your frame rate. I have had 3 or even 4 out at a time, and once I get beyond 2, have a few problems. But this is a really helpful way of monitoring here. I'm just adjusting on the right here the scale, so you can see if I dial in further out to 320, then the root and the markers become closer. They're further apart here. So there we go. There we see our first few markers. Another thing that's really helpful with this, notice that the window stays the same place, is that if I were to write Alt on the screen here, okay, there we go, and then I find that I've got my readout, and I can have this somewhere else from my MCDU, so it means I can relate nice and close up. I can relate where we're traveling and where we are on the map. So there we are, folks. I hope that you found that helpful, and just move that down there for you. Take care. Yes, I do feel that I feel like I've been disloyal because I'm not in the H145 and I've done so much there. This aircraft has interested me, but I did think, well, this is a little bit broader. Although it's a walkthrough using Fenix's MCDU, there'll be something in this, in the mnemonic, demonstrate in-flight safety review important procedures. Or did I forget some Raspberries in Pi? Probably that's the one that I'm going to remember more, just to help you walk through in the right order what you need to be putting through the MCDU. But your variant of the aircraft you're flying might not need as much detail from that. Apart from that, much of what is available, in fact all of what is available using the tablet here on Fenix is available in the Simbrief readout, but obviously I don't have just slightly beyond the scope of this to be reinterpreting Simbrief. So take care, folks. Stay safe and keep well. And once again, if you did appreciate this, then do put a like do put a comment in the comment section and subscribe. Really makes a big difference. Also, if you're interested in more quick tutorials on the Fenix, I've got my own style, I know, and I think there is a gap for like how to get moving as quickly as possible. And then learn more later, then I can try and do that. I think there's a little bit of a gap about that, but I have to say all of the tutorials out there are really rich, offered by people with great experience, more experience than me. But you know, it may well be that you find helpful journeying with me. So if that's the case, then put it in the comments section. Take care, stay safe, folks.